Okay, let's be real. I'm gonna call this Toy Fair Part 2, and it's gonna follow the same structure where I'm just talking about things I noticed, things I might get, things I'm definitely gonna get, but this whole thing is basically a little bit of Mafex, a little bit of Mezco, and a whole lot of GI Joe Classified. So if that's not your cup of tea, ha! Cup of tea. It's green. Walk away now. And that's all I got for this funky intro. I'm Photo Dave, and this is Toypixx. And whether this is your first or 100th time on the channel, Toypixx is all about helping you and helping me get a whole lot better about our action figure photography. So oftentimes I'll talk about what's going on in the figure industry, as well as what I like, what I don't like. I might even do funny reviews. It's been so long since I've had a figure, I haven't been able to do a funny review. But I'll also talk about photography, photo equipment, lighting, tips, tricks, Photoshop editing, all that good stuff. So if that sounds cool to you, go ahead and click subscribe. And now, on to my thoughts on what's going on currently with Mafex, Mezco, and GI Joe Classified. Woo! Okay, first things first. Let's talk about the stuff I noticed. Stuff I'm not really going to pick up, stuff I'm not going to buy, but stuff I still thought, well, it caught my attention. And the first thing is the Mafex Mark 50 Iron Man. And holy crap, this thing comes loaded. It comes with a price tag to match. I mean, it's up there. And movie figures aren't something that I get. This is the Iron Man from Infinity War. But man, if they were something I was into, I'd have a hard time saying no to this thing. It comes with everything, and feels like it even comes with and then some. It's ridiculous the detail they threw into this bad boy. Ultra shiny. It's got those things that come out here and fire away. It's something that just made me make a sound effect. But yeah, that Iron Man looks incredible. And again, if I were into movie stuff, he'd be a maybe, because it'd be awfully tough to say no to him. Next up is a Mezco Batman and Two-Face 2-pack that was teased a long time ago. There's also a weapon set that they're releasing that looks like it should go with these guys, but Warner Brothers doesn't really like guns, so sneaky, sneaky Mezco. Very nice. But I will say I'm not into these looks for Batman and Two-Face, and considering I still don't have any Mezcos, I wouldn't want to start with this set to try and do the gambling, but it doesn't look like, some of the early Mezcos used to look like they were wearing PJs. Neither of these look like that. Some parts of Two-Face looks a little loose-fitting, but the guy's got to move, so I even understand that. They look good for what they are. It's just not a style I'm into, and again, without having any kind of Mezco product on hand, I can't really tell you anything else about it. So, something that caught my eye, looked cool. I probably wouldn't get it even if I had Mezco, but for those old school, like 40s and 50s comic book nuts that are really into Batman, this thing is tailor-made for you. And these next things I noticed, I'm just going to kind of group together, because they're awesome, but they're not something I'm going to get just because I'm not so into these types of repaints. They are the GI Joe Classified Python Patrol Cobra Trooper, the Tiger Force Recondo, and the Tiger Force Bazooka. Now, I will say Tiger Force was the only way back when that I could get a Duke, I could get a Roadblock, that I could get several of these characters, so I had those figures, but I always liked the original ones better, and that's kind of where I'm at as far as Classified's concerned. I don't mind repaints when it's like using parts from different figures to make totally new ones. It sounds really counterintuitive because it drives me crazy with Marvel Legends and Star Wars, but it's been a thing with G.I. Joe for years. And if you're in any kind of military, a lot of your stuff's going to look similar. So for whatever reason, repaints don't bother me in that way when you're kind of piecing out, let's take the pants from this character and the arms from this character and this and that and the other thing. Doesn't bug me so much, but just straight up repaints when we're talking about these Tiger Force and Python Patrol guys, I'm not into them. But what I'm excited about is introducing Recondo and Bazooka into Tiger Force likely means that they're coming in their regular colors to Classified. I'm pretty excited about that. One thing that I wish that the team at Hasbro was doing, though, they're going kind of ultra retro with these figures. And some figures, I'm totally cool with that. Like the twins, Zaymot and Tomax, we'll talk about them later. They went ultra retro with those, but those outfits still work today. They were so outlandish, they still work today. So to me, that makes sense. But Bazooka and Recondo, if they had a few added things, you know, just to make them a little cooler, a little more up to date, I'd be a little happier. And hopefully when they do those in the regular Classified line, that's exactly what we'll see. And now for the maybe section of this video. And I strung that out a little bit because there's really only one figure that's in the maybe section, and that is GI Joe Classified Kamakura. I like Kamakura, but I have to say I don't like when G.I. Joe goes full-on ninja. I'm good basically with Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, and Jinx. After that, like, man, you guys took this ninja thing way too far. I even had red ninjas in my collection that I got rid of. I'm just not a big fan of that. Now, people might say it's because he's one of the newer characters. No, because had they said this was going to be Shadow Tracker, or Bomb Strike, or Crosshair, or Blackout, I would have been like, oh yeah, I'm totally in for those guys. Because they look sweet. They're great updates, they're great original figures, they just look really cool. Kamakura, he doesn't look bad, and I have to be honest, as much as I'd like to say he's just going to stay in maybe and turn into a no, it seems with Classified, they stay in maybe and they are more likely to turn into a yes. So he'll be dependent kind of on his loadout, what all he comes with. He looks cool. There's no denying that. It's just my own thing about how it drove me crazy when G.I. Joe just went full-on ninja. And now we're to the yeses. Whereas in the first video, I basically just said the Mirage Comics figures from NECA were yeses. And that was it. Everything else, cool, maybe, stuff I noticed, all that good stuff. But that was all I was going to get. And I much prefer those kinds of videos because I'm looking at this list of yeses, and there's a lot of them. And first up, you know it if you've been watching the channel for any length of time, it's Mafex Storm. How could I possibly say no to a Mafex version of Aurora Monroe? She looks absolutely incredible. She's everything I ever wanted the Legends version to be when I had her. She just, man, I mean, the one thing I will say, I do like the gold. I think the gold accents on her are awesome. I love the effects. I love all the hands. She's got, like at first, if you look at her hair from a distance, it looks just blue. But when you look at the up-close pictures, you can see that it's got some blue and white and just all kinds of colors in there. So it looks really cool. The one thing, the tiniest thing that bugs me is I grew up with the comics. I watched the cartoon, but my first exposure to her look like this, you know, this kind of costume was the comics. And in there, she was usually portrayed as wearing a really shiny outfit. People will argue it's white, it's black, it's silver. From the colors on the outfit, from the big-time contrast on the outfit, I would be most inclined to think it's silver, and possibly a really glossy black. The one color I look at and I think there is no way you can make lighting work to make it do that is white. So I'm pre-ordering this. It's already done. So I saw that and I was in. But if they release a repaint with silver or a really glossy black, that will likely end up being my preferred Mafex Storm. But man, I was super pumped when I saw that thing go up for pre-order. Another group of yeses. Zorana, Dusty, Crimson Guard, Dr. Mindbender. Yes, 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 yes. I'm sick and need help. This is kind of why I think of G.I. Joe as kind of being the junk food in my collection. They're cheaper figures than what I normally get, but man, can they add up in a hurry. Whew, that's tough. It's kind of like if you eat a lot of dessert every day, and after like 20 years, you're like, hey, where'd I gain all this extra around the middle? Yeah, maybe I shouldn't equate G.I. Joe to dessert like that. I love this stuff. I think it's awesome. I like that they didn't go ultra-modern with Crimson Guard and with Dr. Mindbender, because again, those looks are kind of timeless. I think those can work in pretty much any era. Dusty, I like it. Looks like they changed his helmet a little bit. I can't remember what word they used for the cloth piece that was back there. And Zorana, she seems to be updated a little bit as well. So I'm good with those updates on some of those figures. I think they look incredible. And Dusty and Crimson Guard, by the way, are both members of my vaunted class of 85. So I'm super stoked to pre-order any of those the second I see them available. And now for the stuff that went up for pre-order today as far as GI Joe Classified is concerned. Stalker, pre-ordered. Toypixx and Zaymot, pre-ordered. The Viper 3-pack, pre-ordered, ×2. Now, let me talk about these things a little bit individually. Ha! Like you can stop me. You're over there. Anyway, Stalker, exactly what I want out of Classified. They updated him just enough. They gave him that huge scarf. They gave him just this kind of a little more drab look. I just really dig his look. He is probably, of the stuff I pre-ordered today, he is probably the figure that I'm most looking forward to. Can't wait to add Lonzo to the old collection. And then you got Toypixx and Zaymot, and those two look perfect. You can never tell when you look at a render. Excuse me. I was feeling parched. You can never really tell when you look at a render how these things are going to look, but their faces are perfect. They're phenomenal. You got a smirk on one, you got the scar on the other, and the artwork that was done on their packages, like when you combine them together, ooh, I mean, Emily and Lenny talked about how it would be cool to have that as a poster. I would grab that as a poster, and I don't have hardly any posters, but that looks sweet. Those guys, also awesome. Perfect updates. Not really, I mean, they're old school. They look totally old school, but they look great as old school. Again, kind of timeless uniforms. I find that the Cobra uniforms tend to be timeless, whereas the Joe uniforms could use updates. And then we get to the Viper 3-pack. I don't know what to say here, because on one hand, I love what they did with this 3-pack. You get a couple normal Vipers, you get a Viper officer, who I figure if he's a Viper officer, he should be able to lead any of your Viper groups. So I figure I've got one for leading Vipers, and since I bought 2 of the sets, I've got another one for leading Alley Vipers. So I feel okay about that. What I really like also are the blast effects. Those blast effects are going to be sweet. They come with a massive loadout. So as I'm watching the stream, I think to myself, wow. I mean, still, it's only 1 box. It's not 3 boxes, which should be cheaper to produce. No problem. And then they bring up the fact that it's only going to be able to be gotten online. So I start thinking, well, maybe the price is going to creep up a bit. Maybe we're going to look at $80 there, because it's only going to be available online. So I don't know what that means as far as they couldn't sell a bunch to Target or they couldn't sell a bunch to Walmart. So maybe they're only online. So maybe that'll bump the price up. And man, those blast effects, sorry, distracted because I thought they looked great. But then I get online to pre-order them, and they were $90. I thought, well, wow, I mean, they must sell a ton to Target and Walmart. And then I think to myself, wait a sec, they're on Amazon. Amazon's like the biggest retailer in the world right now. And they could obviously sell them to them. So why is the price so high? Shouldn't it have come, I don't know. You can't say shouldn't it have come down, because that's not going to work for any kind of company. But shouldn't it have been around 75 bucks when a company like Amazon gets in on the action? I don't know. On the other hand, that Wolverine 5-pack from last year, the thing that kind of, one of the big things that kind of pushed me over the edge into stopping my Marvel Legends collecting, that was way too much money. And I'm looking at this going, wow, this is a lot of money. But I feel like you're getting a lot more in this set. I'm of two minds. It's too much money, period. No doubt, especially when you look at what looks like the logistics of the whole thing. When you look at record profit margin when it comes to Hasbro, likely record profit margin when it comes to Amazon, you're just going, man, I don't see why. But then you look again and you go, but man, those Vipers and those guns and those blast effects sure are pretty. That one was a tough pill to swallow, but like I said, I swallowed it twice, and if prices come down, I might swallow it a couple more times. And I'm equating that to pills, people that don't take that anywhere else, you sick putzes. So that was it for today's Toy Fair recap part 2, I suppose. And it's not even, again, it's Toy Fair, because, well, Toy Fair's not actually happening, and I'm seeing now that Super 7 has some stuff, and something there actually caught my eye. So I'll talk about that in the next one after McFarlane shows off their stuff, probably sometime. If I don't get to it this weekend, I'll get to it the following week, early week. By the way, all the links for those G.I. Joes I talked about, and Storm, and all that stuff, you'll be able to find the links to get them if you want them, pre-order them, down below in the description. And, yeah. It's tough being a figure collector, especially when so much cool stuff is fired my way. And your way. You know the pain. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this thing. So, comment below. Let me know what you thought of the stuff I saw. Tell me about the stuff that you noticed that maybe I didn't talk about. And we'll go from there. Now, if you're digging the content, like, subscribe, have fun, and hey, happy snapping. See ya.